Infinity reporting back with our end time findings. Every simulation is an experiment of choices. What will you do when faced with a specific set of challenges? Will you choose the negative polarity, the demonic choices? Meaning any choice that is opposite to the options that the great God, Universal Allah, is giving you. Or will you take the options? Will you make the choices that are going to bring you closer to the great God, Universal Allah? In this simulation, this was an on and off simulation. Physically, spiritually, emotionally, it was an on and off simulation with my devil, with the op. I attracted my opposite is just the opposite polarity. It's not nothing spooky. This is just me being higher self. This individual, this reflection is reflecting my lower self so that I can see my lower self, purge my lower self, and like the script says, the basic instructions before leaving Earth, go from glory to glory. Be made a new creature in the universal consciousness, the divine consciousness, the divine mind, great God, Universal Allah. That is the only reason why I met the opposite, the polarity. It's a spiritual community out there that calls it twin flame, and the twin flame, you share the same, pretty much a similar same consciousness. You're just reflecting different polarities to one another. So again, attracting this devil, it is my lower self. That being a necessary experience or experiment, because look, plenty opportunities. This devil had to physically separate me from my body, separate my soul from my body. This devil had attempted numerous times, because that's all that Satan understands. That's the only language that Satan understands. Conquer, right? Conquer, kill, steal, and destroy. That's it. And because my lower self's reflection that was made manifest in the flesh, so that I can properly see, all right, what are my blocks to the great God, Universal Allah? Oh, this individual that I attracted, they're crazy impatient. Wow, that's me. The biggest, a pure devil, a pure fucking devil. Wow, that's me. And my polarity, in this incarnation, this individual, lustful. That's me in my lower self. Everything that I perceived as evil against the great God manifested through this individual. Addiction. Now, we didn't share the same addictions, but if you grow up in this society, you are addicted to something, whether it's like my addiction, on and off addictions, processed fast food. It's emotional addiction to things like pain, wanting to feel pain, to feel. They were my addictions. That's why I attracted this individual, this devil, this opposite. It's the opposite of my polarity. I am in my higher self. I am the great God, universal Allah. In my higher self. My higher stat is my aspect of my higher self. Great God, universal Allah. So this polarity made manifest in the flesh, just materialized or attracted as whether it was a friendship, whether it was a mate, whether it was any individual close enough to destroy you. And destroy what? Oh, well, this individual could have destroyed my physical body in a fit of rage, which that's another demon that materialized, manifests through this vessel, through this opposite, through my polarity, a suppression of emotion. And what happens? This individual suppressing emotion around me, and I say a trigger word, and boom, slams on the brake, and in the truck, slams on the brake, and I do a front flip off of the top bunk onto the front of the front of the truck, like on some shit, like on some stunt devil type shit. And look, anything could have materialized from that. I, had to self-regenerate and take a few days, take a weekend, do some neck and spine repair, self-repair, regeneration, and really just realigning through stretching. And, that was just a physical aspect of it. I wouldn't have even survived that. I'm saying without something going to the hospital or something like that, unless the great God had protected my vessel, right? So the great God protecting these motherfucking spy bots. Every time you some fucking where they want to materialize and they want to act like they're doing something. Whether it's talking on the phone, whether it's they act like they talking to each other, but the whole time they motherfucking attention, their energy is on you. That's a spy bot. So look, anytime I see a spy bot in my vicinity, first of all, any negative energy coming from the spy bot is lodged, literally boomerangs, and it's lodged into every vital organ, blood, muscle, bone, tissues, and cells, and brain. That's not the number one decree. And any spiritual wickedness in higher dimensions and other dimensions connected to that spy bot, yeah, and it moves. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. That's what the fuck I thought. Literally went right away as soon as I made that decree. And again, I didn't even have to get to the spiritual wickedness in higher dimensions and other dimensions. And any spiritual wickedness in other dimensions, higher dimensions, connected, maneuvering, influencing, manipulating that vessel. Arrest, capture, contain, incarcerate, incinerate, castrate, and cast into the great God universal Allah's lake of fire for the divine amount of time. Divine executive order, all operations connected to Mother Earth, connected to all convicted, cease and desist for the divine, not the divine amount of time, the divine amount of eons. That's even if the great God ever let your ass back here. Because it's never anything physical solely. It's never solely anything physical. That's a universal law, as above, so below. Anything that materializes in the physical, it came from a thought. It came from a thought. It came from the energy world, the spiritual world. That is universal law, which the great God, look, I don't even, I know I read them, but I don't even study that. But the great God said that's one thing, because I have diplomatic immunity with the great God, meaning the great God is pardoning my sins. Every sin I commit here on earth, the great God is pardoning. That's because this world was the last world, the old world, the old age, the last age, eon, era of time, Pisces, which is no more. It's done and away with. The world is over. As the Bible, as the basic instructions before leaving earth states, the end of the world, the end of the world, the end of the world. Well, there's been many worlds that come and go. We see the evidence of these civilizations, these worlds that came and went. And world being, I'm saying, in the purest version of the Bible, that's the only thing we need to be looking at is the purest language from these ancient texts, which Hebrew. That's not world, that's eon, that's era of time. That's an era of time. An eon, that is just a time cycle and time and space of infinity. Well, that world ended. That's why I'm seeing a lot of little universal disclosures mixed inserted into entertainment. Because that's how Satan, why would Satan tell the world the truth and set the world free? The only thing that Satan was required to do was to put the truth out there. That's it. Whether he does it, entertainment, music, advertising, through corporations, through signs, through billboards. Look for the universal truth in everything. But Satan would never give the world, the conscious, the truth directly into their conscious mind, because the truth would set them free, and Satan would not have slaves to volunteer their life force, their pure positive life force energy for the cares of this world, which the cares of this world are too great. Especially today, 2026, July 2026, the cares of the world are too great. So it's a complete robbery of your pure positive life force energy to even be intertwined in this place in a way that is going to serve Satan and Satan's children, the wicked ones, the evil ones, these dark forces that need your life force, pure positive life force energy to just maintain, survive. And so I'm seeing that a lot in the entertainment world. The world is over. The world is ended. I saw that quite a few times, and I know that that's universal disclosure. They're basically saying, all right, we're in the time of the great falling away. We left one polarity. We left the negative polarity on the earth. That was the age of Pisces. That was the dark age where 1% had universal knowledge, had the divine mind to manipulate energy into the fruit of the land for themselves only, while 99% of people were forced. If you want to survive, you give us every particle of your pure positive life force energy if you want to maintain and survive in this dimension and reality. So that was the name of the game for the age of Pisces. This age is, what path do I have to take to embody my love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice on this earth, to experience it in a dominant way more than not. Most people experience their love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice for little portions, and then majority of their pure positive life force energy is held up and consumed by an outside entity, which that is a sin against the great God, universal Allah. If one is doing something that is not destined to cause their love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So that's the only reason why we will meet our polarity. What they call twin flame. Now, I see these teachings, and these teachers are focusing on the individual, the polarity, the other individual. You are the one thought of the great God, universal Allah, made manifest in the flesh. Holy Quran, Circle 7, More Science, Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You are the one thought. The great God had a thought for your manifestation, and that's all there is. That's all there is. Because there is only one reality, and that is who? H-U. Holy breath. The great God, universal Allah, is the only reality. So it's never about another individual. This individual is only to align you with that thought that the great God, universal Allah, had for your materialization, your manifestation, whatever it is, in this dimension and reality, in this reality. So these teachers are saying, oh, do this, do that to get your twin flame. The only thing that you should be chasing is your higher self. That's it. If you have to do it through your polarity, to see your negative polarity, to see the negatives that are blocking you from the divine mind concerning your existence here, that's the only reason why you should be engaged, involved into 2026 going forward. Because if you're not using your polarity to do trauma release work, shadow work, what are the themes? What are the negative themes coming out between me and this other individual? All right, once it comes up, the ideal, and most won't be able to do this because of the magnetic pull. Your demons attracting their demons, and it's like a vortex sucking. It's like a negative vortex sucking you in. So most people will just look at that and say, oh, I really love this person. Well, most people really love their demons. They really love their negative ways. Whatever it is, most people are addicted to their negative polarity. And that's why it has to manifest in the flesh. But to look outside of yourself at this individual is crazy, because it's only you and the great God. You as the great God, as the thought of the great God, universal Allah. That's it. So, all right, once these negative polarities are shown, oh, we're always arguing about this and that. Then you have to look within. All right, I got to find the addictions. I got to find the addiction that's blocking me from the great God, universal Allah, within me. And really, again, this interaction is really just to bring up these negatives. So Once it comes up, it doesn't even really need to be named, because we don't really know what's in our subconscious mind, unless it's people out here, doing past or parallel life regressions. That we don't really know what's manifesting from other dimensions and realities. So it's a mere interaction to bring it up, to the surface. All right, well, what did the great God, Universal Allah, send these masters, these teachers, Yahweh Shai, to do? Gave the illustration, Peter. Oh, Peter, why? Oh, Master, why can't we exorcise these demons? Well, we got the scientific formula, because some demons, some extremely low frequencies, cannot be exorcised. They can't be cast out of your consciousness, of your energy field, less by a fasting and prayer. The prayer being, what do I want? All right, this is going to be an energetic change once I fast. So what do I want to change? Where do I want the energy to shift? And that being the intent or the prayer. Some people, again, choose to do it other ways to no avail, because that was the scientific formula for getting rid of, casting out demons. And again, it's levels, because Yahweh Shai was a master at fasting, routinely did these frequent fastings, and Yahweh Shai was just like, come out of this person. Now you have beings, universal consciousness beings, that their frequency is already connected to the great God, Universal Allah, and they just cast out demons wherever they go. But again, the bigger the devil, the greater the spiritual purging that is going to take. That is just how it goes. Because look, if we're talking about this body, how many cells, which cells hold memory, that are comprised of lifetimes. So how many cells are programmed with negative information? What is the DNA program with negative information? You're coming from a bloodline and lineage, like the melanated, the native indigenous, whom the European cursed as black. You're coming from bloodlines and lineages of slavery. That's an enormous demon, extremely low frequency, that's programmed into the consciousness, cells, memory, DNA, and all that. And that takes great work. I'm talking about just as much time as one is putting into a physical job to survive. It takes just as much time. That's why the great God, Universal Allah, said you can't serve two masters. Great God, Universal Allah said you can't serve two masters. That's why the great God, Universal Allah, forbid me from working for survival. Great God, I don't care what you got to do. Go out there, practice humility. You got to go to your enemy for all your wants and needs. That producing humility. Out here, who wants to ask their enemy for anything? But you got to juck and jive them. You got to act with them like you don't know that they trying to kill you and shit. Like you don't know that they trying to backdoor you and shit and take everything from you. Swap your consciousness, transfer your consciousness to them. Destiny swap with you, do karmic transfers from their bloodline and lineage, and they trying to swap your shit. Your enemy, if your enemy give you anything, it's just to take what they deem as greater, which they see the greater in you. So they gotta offer you something to try to get something. That's why this ascension this ascension, fight, journey to get to your higher self, to merge with your higher self on this earth. I'm talking about heaven and earth meet. Your physical vessel aligns with your love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice self. And that energy can now be stationed on earth, where you're always in chaos and trauma and battles and what. That's the devil within. That's the devil within. But it has to materialize. It has to manifest as that until you can fight the good fight to align with your higher self. That's it. So until, like, for this vessel, until this vessel, because coming from the bloodline and lineage of slavery and poverty, right? Poverty is not the great God universal Allah. That is not my higher self. That is not my higher self. So until I'm talking about materially abundant on this earth, that's not my higher self. That's not my higher self. So until, that's just one prerequisite of the higher self. The higher self is abundance. In whatever kind of way, there are, and it has nothing to do with a banknote, a paper dollar, because there are people with lots of paper dollars. They are poor in spirit, and it continually manifests in their, whether it be their relationships, whether it be it could be any area of their life. Misery, total misery. But they say on a record, they got buku paper dollars, but they're poor in spirit. They have no peace. They have no health, wealth, happiness, joy, unless it has to be through a induced. It has to be artificially inseminated. So then guess what? When they leave, when all of this leaves, or whatever leaves them, they're worse. So the abundance is not, it's not merely how much money a person may have, or bank notes a person may have. It's the things like the fruit of the spirit. All right. I'm the one thought of the great God universal Allah. I love myself. I have joy. I have the joy that I am one with the great God universal Allah. I have peace, because it's nothing but devil worship out here. But guess what? I'm the one that can find the great God. And wherever I'm at, if it's the worst place, I can find the great God universal Allah. That's literally peace. That's joy. I make choices that bring me more freedom. These devils, man. You devils, boy. You devils, man. I make choices that's going to bring me more freedom. Even if I got to play the long game, that's what I'm going to do. I know the truth of the mind of the great God universal Allah. So I'm free, because look, even if I leave this physical body, the great God universal Allah is going to remember me, because I remembered the great God universal Allah on this earth. Wow. And when you look at it like that, you're like, yo, this is just, in some situations you might just be like, well, fuck it. I'm not bound to Satan. Fuck it. I'll leave my body permanently. I'll leave my body. Guess what? The great God universal Allah is going to remember me, because everything was recorded here. Every thought, word, and deed was recorded. The book of life, Holy Quran, Circle 7, Moorish Science Temple of America. Sometimes there's freedom in departing from the physical body as well. If one cannot align with higher self in a particular environment. And again, that is honorable as well. That's why, and I'm just paraphrasing it because I just remember it from a long time ago, but that's why the great God Universal Allah is saying in these end times, the very elect will have an opportunity to win the crown of life, which that would be made manifest in another existence. But some will have to win the crown of life through departing from the physical body, because Satan is not going to, for example, Satan is not going to let, eventually Satan is not going to let beings buy or sell here unless they take the mark of the beast. I think everybody should know that's coming. I mean, the spiritual wickedness in the other dimensions, the higher dimensions, are right now in the process trying to phase out the penny, the copper, so that they can go more into the New World Order. There's a lot of places going cashless, and so we can understand that you won't be able to buy or sell if you don't take the mark of the beast. I'm not going to get into that, the implications of that, and how many potential eons. I don't know how long in time and space one would have to basically transmute every thought, word, and deed, every simulation, every alternate reality that was created in their flesh. I don't know how many an individual would have to essentially live through to redeem their soul back, which could be something as simple as their freedom back. If you're, I don't know, I seen in a movie, I didn't see the movie, but I saw their advertising some movie about these beings. They're running through hallways, and everywhere they go, it's no one in that individual city. It's empty. No one's around, or they're going in mazes and hallways. And some people created these simulations. I can think of these video games where they just go around in hallways, and they just run around and around aimlessly, running around to no avail. I don't know if it's Roblox or what, but divine court hearing and transfer to Roblox, whatever, that's a big thing. Whatever games that my child vessels, because I've been out of the picture, having to do the divine will at the great God Universal Allah, and they developed addictions to these games they're designed to trap the soul. It's designed for the next incarnations. That's a program, a video game program, and individuals, they're constantly running around in circles and loops and never attaining anything by themselves. That's a reality one would have to transmute by universal law. So that will be, again, I'm redeeming my child vessels from these addictions, but I'm calling in a divine court hearing and a transfer to all these games that were designed, including Roblox, and it's a couple other, maybe, I don't know if it's Minecraft or whatever. The great God got the records. I don't need to know specifically. The angels of Allah record everything. And every time any of my child vessels were addicted to these games, running through these games to their detriment, it's all these energies are being transferred to these companies, corporations, and entities, the spiritual wickedness and higher dimensions connected to them. And there will be an instant transfer. There shall be an instant transfer of the pure positive life force energy of these companies, corporations, and entities, spiritual wickedness, and higher other dimensions, restoring my child's vessel's consciousness back to divine order. This takes, it's instant in the spiritual realm, but these manifestations, they materialize right at the right moment. So that's what it is. Roblox and whatever other game. Well, I'll find out exactly what games they have been being programmed by, and what entertainment shows that they've been being programmed while my enemies have held them in captivity as well. But it's a part of a greater plan, a greater design, right? So we just put our faith into the great God universal Allah on these matters, and we seek divine justice against all involved, seen, unseen, and behind the scenes, multidimensionally. And that's that. And boom, the world shifts. Universal law of one. So that's the beauty in this, when we're at a time where we're at a time of reclamation, we're reclaiming every particle of pure positive life force energy that was stolen from these vessels, knowingly and unknowingly. Most of the time we didn't know. And now, since we are in the age of truth, it's being revealed. Every dynamic that was a part of your negative polarity, we're seeing that, right? So let's pause that for a second. I just decided that I'm officially done with my devil. It was a devil within me that materialized in the physical. We cannot attract anything that we are not, if I said that right. Everything that we attract is within us. Everything that we attract in the physical reality is an energy working in our, operating in our consciousness that, oh, it's time for it to come up. So, oh, you meet this new person, place, thing, situation, scenario, event, da 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 da. So I finally decided that I'm finito with that devil, because I found a new version of myself. I feel rich. That doesn't mean that I physically materialize the physical resources yet, right? That doesn't mean that. But guess what? I feel rich. I feel abundant, even though I didn't, the shit I ain't see yet. I ain't see the shit yet in the physical, but it's inside, because I feel it. I feel like I'm the most important person on this earth. I look at everybody else as the fake, and I feel like the real deal, the real one. Because that is my true self. I'm talking about, that's my higher self. So the fact that I feel like that, what do I need that devil for anymore? Because look, I seen the shift. Once I started feeling like that, this devil started getting so desperate. Like, what a motherfucker